Hello, my name is Millie. I'm one of the Piece Together trainers and I'm based down in Dagenham in East London, and today I'm going to show you how to make a tin can candle arrangement. The candle being a symbol of hope as we look forward to and get ready for celebrating the birth of Jesus. I'm going to do it in 3 parts so that hopefully you can look and stop the video at different times so that you can prepare the different parts of the design. So first of all, I'm going to look at the medium that we're going to use to arrange it in. Normally I would use flower arranging foam, but it's not that easily to get hold of, so I was looking at things that you could use at home. Also, it's not very good for the environment, so I was looking for more environmental friendly mediums to use. So this one I filled with damp sand, which is really good because it's quite solid and holds the pieces in very well. And the one I'm going to use today is, I've used some soil, potting compost. Again, I've put it in compact it down so that it can hold the stems very easily. Just be aware that when you're using the tin cans, make sure that you are careful about the edge because it can be quite sharp. Alright, so the other thing that I have been experimenting with is rice. Don't know if you can see that. I'm going to take these things out. I got some uncooked rice and I topped it up, soaked it in water, and it took up some of the water, and it was a really good medium to hold it in. So maybe give it a go. I also got from my garden in the grass, the thing that most gardeners don't like, and some moss. I found some moss. This is something that you will be able to find if you go out foraging, going out in for a nice walk in the woods. And again, this actually makes a nice topping so that you can't see the sand or the soil. All right, so that's what I've done with those. So we've prepared our tin can. Now you've put the medium in, you want to clean and dry the can so that it's easy to work with. And this is the part where you're going to decorate the can. For this one I've used felt and then ribbon and a bit of tinsel. So, and again, this one, I collect ribbon and so forth that comes off of presents, gifts, chocolates, whatever, and I keep them for one side. So it's very good and handy to use. If you are doing it with children, the other thing you can do is just a plain cover, and then you can use stickers. They can decorate it to their heart's content. So I'm going to take that to put that to one side. This is a couple that I've decorated. I found some in the pound shop once. I got some gold beads, and I put them around the top with a bit of fabric at the bottom just to cover the can. And then I've got a couple here where I've used some hessian, some gingham, hearts, and some twine, butcher's twine. So just be creative. You can decorate it with whatever you like. In order to stick it on, I use either a glue gun or good old faithful sticky, double-sided sticky tape. On the tin can, you've got a nice seam at the back, so I usually put the sticky tape either side, so it is either side of the actual can't think of the word, but you know, the seam at the back. All right, so that way you can see where you're going to join them up. I'm going to cover one with some ribbon so that you can get the idea. And before you take this off, let me put that back on, you need to just measure round so that that fits perfectly round the can. All right, and then cut it off, and then that won't end up with an untidy seam at the back. So I've cut some earlier in good Blue Peter fashion. Remove the paper, and then just line them up with the seam at the back, at the top, and bring it round so that it fits quite nicely. And again at the bottom, just underneath it, line it up with the seam, bring it all the way round, and so your tin can is covered. I've also got a bit of decorative ribbon here, and I could actually put another piece just around the centre to give it an extra piece. This is where, fantastic, the glue has, the sticky bit has come off. So again, just line it up on the seam, bring it all the way around, This ribbon, I think I usually go into something like the Pound Shop, Works, anything like that. They have some nice decorative ribbon. All right, so that's your can. So you can decorate in any way you like using a double-sided tape or glue gun or ordinary glue, a good sticking glue like a PVA glue. All right, the next part is to make the picks, the Christmassy picks that go into it. I'm going to show you a couple of different techniques. Now, the only thing I'm thinking of that you might need is some wire that you can get from places like Hobbycraft, The Range and so forth. But I've also found, if you can't find any wire, how about, if you've got any, a paper clip. You can open it up and you've got some wire. Just remember that the ends can be quite sharp, so be careful when you're using it. So if you haven't got any wire, you can always perhaps unravel some paper clips. So what I'm going to show you today is how we wire the pine cones, which is something that you can find out in when you're going out foraging, or you might be able to buy some. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of the wires and I'm going to hold it in place, and I'm going to wrap it around the open part of the cone and bring the two ends round until they meet. All right, so I've got two ends there, and then I'm going to take the two ends and I'm going to twist them together tightly, and then we have what we would call a pick. So it's nice and firm, and it's going to sit into the medium and decorate your arrangement. Now I've also got some kebab sticks, and another thing I use are cocktail sticks. So if you've got any nuts, walnuts are pretty good because they're quite easy to pierce, but I use a kebab stick, the end of a kebab which is pointed, and just gently pierce the bottom of the walnut. Be careful, you don't want to crack it. And when you feel that it's quite solid, then that should suffice. But if you want to, you can always put a little bit of glue there. Let's cut this pick down. So that's a pick using a walnut. So other nuts you can use, but you might want to glue them onto a kebab stick. So the other thing I've got is some dried oranges, and these you can do yourself. You can put them into the microwave, or you can put them into a very slow oven and leave them till they dry out. You can look up online and you'll be able to see something. So with these, I'm putting two together, just slightly apart from each other. Find the one that looks nicest to put on the top, and then at the bottom, be very careful, just pierce just above the rind into the fleshy bit, and then just pierce it through. Be very careful that you don't split it. Bring it down so you've got like a hairpin shape, and again just twist the ends together. All right, and then you've got a pick with your orange segment. Now cinnamon is always something at Christmas, so you can get this again if you've got some in your kitchen cupboard, or you might want to buy some. So these always look good as little parcels, and what I've done with this one is I've just put two pieces together and I've wrapped them. Now I'm using raffia, which you can use, or you can use twine, you could use your imagination. Now put them together, two together, and I usually look away and I just see how they feel comfortable, so that they're not going to become loose. And I'm going to get the raffia, and I'm going to wrap it round the middle and then tie the two ends together. Just a knot, you don't need to do anything too fancy. And the reason we're doing this is A, to make it into a bundle, but also so that we've got something that we can, oh, it's not working. Well, you tie it together, you get the idea. Let's move on. So I've tied this one together, but you need something in order to put your pin through. So I've got my what is it, Rosie?
Paper clip.
Paper clip, thank you. Unravelled paper clip. And I'm going to put it through the back of the raffia, and then I'm just going to fold it down. And that way, I've got a pin that I can then add to my arrangement. So all that's left now is, I'm going to make a bow, and also baubles. If you've got any baubles left over, they're brilliant. So again, just put the kebab stick up the middle, put a bit of glue on the bottom to hold it if you wish. Sometimes they fit quite nicely, but then you've got picks that are easy to put in. But a bit of glue at the bottom you would need to keep them in place. Okay, so last but not least is a couple of bows. So if you've not made a bow before, just keep it very simple. I've got a bit of ribbon here. This is a nice one. It's got a bit of wire at the edge, but just make a loop and then make another loop the other side and then create another loop and bring the other one up. So that's what you're looking for, just a bow shape. And then you can either gather it up and then use a piece of, I've got a smaller paper clip. This one will have, let me just take this off. The smaller paper clip will have a thinner wire, so it'll be easier to manipulate. And then we gather them together and then making a hairpin shape, put it over the top. It's not worked at all. Let me quickly put it together again. I'll let it go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, gather, hair clip, paper clip or wire, and then pull the ends tightly together and twist. So again, a lot of twisting. And then we've got a nice bow that we can throw out, and that's going to sit nicely into our arrangement. If you've got any of this with gift wrapping, this is great. It's the polypropylene ribbon that is often comes in gift wrapping parcels, and again you can do a lovely pull across your blade of your scissors, and then you get a nice twirl or little curls. And again, you'll be able to put this into your arrangement by making a hair clip and just piercing it into like that, so you can just tighten it up. Okay, so there's quite a few things there that you can use as picks. Now we're going to actually make the arrangement. Before I do that, I need to show you how to prepare the candle. So I've done one here which has got cocktail sticks and it's held together with a bit of electric tape. So you can buy flower arranging tape which you can put round, but I then realised, I thought, oh, I know what, let's use a rubber band. So if you've got a rubber band at home, all you need to do is, oh, this one's a big one, let's put it around the bottom so it's tight. Get your cocktail sticks, you want the 4 cocktail sticks, push them through. And the reason you want this is because you want your candle to be secure in your arrangement. You don't want it flopping about, especially it will spoil your arrangement. You want it nice and straight. So this one, I've got 4. She said I can't even get the 4th one in. Actually, I think 3 will do. So you've got 3 cocktail sticks. So you've wrapped an elastic band round, you've pushed the 4 cocktail sticks up, and then you can push that into the medium that you're using. That goes quite nicely. I push it into the sand. Yeah, that one might need a little bit more pushing down. Some of them you might need to just experiment, you might need to make a bit of space in it. That's better. So put your candle in, and then we'll just put the moss round to decorate it. Okay, so let's get on with the arrangement now. So I went out into my local park and went out in the rain for a lovely walk, and I came across some really nice foliage. So I'll show you what I've been able to get, and you can use any evergreen foliage, holly, pine, conifer. If you've got a fresh Christmas tree, use the bits at the bottom of your Christmas tree. You've got viburnum, laurustinus, ivy, so much you can get. As long as it's an evergreen, that's fine. So I'm going to push my candle into there. I'm going to put a little bit of moss. Again, you can get this out in the woods. You need to tease it, and don't tell the children, but you need to get rid of any worms or any insects that might be in there. So tease, what we call tease it out before you use it. There we are, so I'm all ready to go. So this one, make sure your seam of your decoration is at the back of the arrangement. So I've put it towards me, but obviously so that I can work with you. So I've got some nice bits of foliage. Let's move this out of the way. Let's clear a bit of space. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to place my foliage, and I've prepared it by making sure I've got nice clean stem ends. All right. The other thing you can do with foliage, because it's fresh, be very careful. You can actually manipulate it by making it curve so that it doesn't sort of stick out horizontally. All right. So I'm going to make it front facing, but if you wanted to, you could have a go at making it all round if you wish. So I'm going to just push this in. I'm going to put a bit at the back, and then I'm going to, oh, wrong one, I know I cut a piece off. Let's do a nice big one at the back. All right, and then I'm going to this one that I've manipulated, a bit smaller, I'm going to put it towards one side. So all I'm doing is pushing it down into the soil. Now you might find some of the stems are a bit soft, so you can always use your kebab stick to make a hole and push it in. That's the beauty of this, rather with flower arranging foam. Once you've made a hole, if you start putting it out and pushing it back in, it will just make a big hole and you won't be able to use it. So I'm just putting a few pieces of that. If you're not sure how to put foliage in, sometimes it's best to just group things so you have nice groupings. I've got a nice conifer here, or from the garden, and again I'm doing a nice curve on that one, and I'm going to put it towards one side and pushing it in. Oh, do you know what? This is so much nicer than using the flower arranging foam. It really is. So I'm going to put another piece the other side. Alright, so far I've just used a few pieces that are getting a bit of a shape. The beauty of this, it doesn't have to be any particular shape. Really, you're not when you're doing arrangements with flowers, you don't have to worry too much about the shape. It looks better if it's more informal. So I did have something out in my garden. I got some false holly, which is rather pretty, but I also got some plain holly from the park, but it was a bit too prickly, so just be careful. So I'm just going to move this. I'm just putting sort of more, so you've got more flatter pieces towards the edge, and you've got more sort of bunchy pieces of foliage towards the centre. So I'm just going to do a grouping of the holly to one side. There we are. And what I did find, which I really loved, I had some somewhere. I found some lovely ivy with the berries, and they were like trailing. They were beautiful. So in the one I showed you earlier, I've sprayed them copper, and this one I've sprayed them with a little bit of ivory spray and a bit of glitter. So with something like this, I'm going to, let's see where my front is, I'm going to push that. So something like that I've got just sort of falling out of the side, so it looks sort of a nice trailing part. I've got two of these, and I'm going to put the other one by the side. And then one of these, somewhere, I have one that there's one that I actually wired. And again, I just put a wire through the top because it was very floppy, and I want to put one of these in quite low, all right, just so to make it even. So I've actually wired that. I'll put a wire to support the stem, but there you go. So I've got a nice sort of flow of the ivy berries. Okay, I've got a little bit of pittosporum out of my garden, so I might want to put a bit of extra variegation in the back there. But can you see, I'm just building it up slowly by slowly and making a nice shape. Now I also found a nice bit of ivy growing somewhere, which is lends itself to trailing a bit. So I'm going to put that in, and I'm going to put that in towards, put it towards the front of one side. Okay, we're nearly done. So once you're happy with the foliage that you've got in, all right, so there we go. That's what it's looked so far. All it's left to do is put some decorations in. So with this, I've got some things I've done earlier. Something I didn't use was lotus heads. These are other things that you can find, seed heads, just need to glue them onto the kebab sticks. I'm going to put a couple of those in together, and these I usually put into groups of 2s and 3s. Keep them together rather than dotting them about. That's those, and I've got some glass baubles that I'm going to use, and again I'm going to put them in as a group. They're already on a wire, but I'm wondering whether that wire is going to hold them. So let's see, I'm just going to get a kebab stick and I'm going to wind that wire around so that it stays in place. That's better, that's better. So let me get another one. So with that, let me show you a bit closer. It's got a wire up it. It's not quite suffice to hold it in place, so I'm just wrapping it round the kebab stick. I'm going to again put these into a little cluster. Last one. Now I've got some cinnamon sticks. I'm just going to put to one side. Now at first you don't succeed, don't take heart, because if you're doing it in the soil or the sand, you can just take everything out and redo it once you've had a practice. And then I've also got some, these are some cones that I found in the park as well. And these I'm going to use one of my, where's the, I'm going to use one of my paper clips, and I'm going to pin it in place by just in the centre there, and hopefully that will hold it in place. So we've got a couple of olivers coming down. I'm not going to use the walnuts because I quite like it is. I'm going to put a little bit of the fluorescent twirly pieces of ribbon, and again this time I'm going to use a wire, but you can use the paper clips if you haven't got any wire, and I'm just going to put them together, hairpin, twist it. Doesn't matter if it's not too tight because you can just pull them into place. I'm going to pop them in. Just looking at it for the shape, or let's put it in the centre there. And this is going to be the final piece, I think. So push that in. There we go. So there is your candle arrangement, fresh candle arrangement. Hope you can see that okay. Really hope you enjoy making them. Maybe give them as gifts as well. Just to keep them fresh, you can always top them up with a little bit of water. Make sure you do that on a surface, maybe over the sink, so it doesn't fill everywhere. It's a little bit harder to top up with the soil and the sand because you just want to do it gradually. The other thing, just to say, a safety thing, never leave a lighted candle in a room without anyone in it. Make sure that if you're lighting this, that you're keeping an eye on it, but also that it doesn't come too far down and catch, so that anything catches light. It's easy, it's good to light it, but make sure you change it regularly before it goes too far down. Okay, have a lovely Christmas.